Some things don't fall apart. They were never built on alignment in the first place, and you know it. You've always known it. But because you wanted it to work, because it looked good, because your heart is loyal beyond reason, you stayed. But let me remind you, alignment has a frequency. And when something or someone is not in tune with your nervous system, your values, or your future, it will eventually create distortion. Here are 5 spiritual red flags. 5 ways your soul is trying to tell you this is not for you, and it's okay to let go. Let's get somatic. The first red flag isn't always emotional or spiritual. It's biological. Your body will register dissonance before your brain forms language around it. Does your breath shallow around this person or situation? Does your nervous system feel constantly on guard? Do you go into fix-it mode the moment things feel uncertain? You may call it love, but if your system feels unsafe, that's trauma, not chemistry. You may call it passion, but if it leaves you depleted, that's adrenaline addiction, not alignment. Spiritual misalignment shows up in physical form. Tight throat, knotted stomach, the sudden urge to explain yourself or disappear. Those are survival codes trying to protect you. The more regulated you become, the more intolerable misalignment feels. It's a good thing. The truth is making its way to the surface. If you have to edit yourself to make something fit, it's not for you. Period. A relationship, a job, a spiritual practice, or a friendship, anything that requires you to abandon yourself is an instant red flag. I am not saying you shouldn't evolve or grow, or never be challenged, but you can feel the difference between evolving into your highest self and distorting yourself to maintain something that feels wrong. You know the difference. Growth is uncomfortable, yes, but it expands you. It challenges you in a way that feels right, like stretching tight muscles that need to be used. Force, on the other hand, contracts you. It makes you smaller, more exhausted, and more disconnected from yourself. Your soul wasn't built for cages, and what's for you will never ask you to betray yourself to keep it. There's a difference between patience and willful blindness. And when things aren't meant for us, we don't need more signs. We've already seen them. We just don't like what they're saying. The roadblocks, the miscommunications, the gut feeling that won't settle. The way everything seems to take 10 times more effort than it should. But instead of trusting that things falling apart is also divine intervention, we bargain. We say, maybe if I just try harder, maybe if I wait long enough, it will start feeling right. If you have to beg the universe to confirm something is for you, it probably isn't. The right things flow, not without effort, but without force. And if you chase and rationalize, you're already getting the sign you asked for. When something is meant for you, it may challenge you, but it will not confuse your spirit. If something keeps falling apart, slowing down, pushing you away, take a hint. It's not happening to hurt you. It's happening to save you. What's meant for you flows. What isn't feels like a fight. Not every lesson requires suffering. Not every meaningful experience has to drain you first. But if you constantly lose your peace to maintain something, it's time to ask yourself, what exactly are you fighting for? You don't have to fight for what aligns. You don't have to sacrifice your inner peace to prove you're worthy of something. Here's what I know. You don't have to keep choosing suffering just because you're used to it. You don't have to prove your worth through struggle. If something requires constant force, it's already falling apart. The right things, the ones meant for you, will challenge you, but they won't require you to abandon your peace just to keep them. There is always a point before we let go. A terrifying moment where we already know something isn't right, but we haven't yet built up the courage to say it out loud. We feel it in our bodies, in the way we avoid thinking about it too much because we know what we'll hear if we get quiet enough. And the hardest part isn't knowing, but admitting that the thing we wanted so badly isn't aligned with us. You already know the truth. You don't need more signs. You don't need more suffering. You need to trust that what is meant for you will never require you to beg for it to feel right. Here's the real test. Close your eyes. Imagine walking away. If your first feeling is relief, even if it's buried under guilt, fear, or uncertainty, that is your answer. Because even if something is painful to release, even if it's terrifying to let go, even if you don't know what's next, if your soul exhales at the thought of being free from it, it was never meant for you. Not everything that crosses your path is meant to stay. Some people are teachers, some things are detours, some things are just here to show you how much you've grown. The hardest thing is knowing when to walk away. But the longer we hold on to what isn't meant for us, the longer we delay what is. If it makes you shrink instead of expand, it's not for you. If you have to keep begging for clarity, it's not for you. If you have to abandon your peace to hold on to it, it's not for you. If your soul already knows, but your mind is afraid to admit it, it's time to let go. Because the right people, places, and opportunities will feel like home, not survival. And if you have to fight this hard to make something fit, it's because you were never meant to fit into it in the first place.